Big thanks to Super7 for sending Wave 3 out. Check them out and links to buy in the description.
Kaiju, turtles, Dragon Ball, and more. It's Steven's Toy Reviews.
Hello there, collectors. It's Steven here, and we're continuing on with Wave 3 of Super7's Ultimates Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles releases, and today we're going to be taking a look at the mighty Metalhead. It's gonna be a metallic turtle here, and quite frankly, this was the one that I was probably the second most excited for in this lineup. Why? Metallic turtle, and considering the current state of TMNT collectibles, a lot of folks are looking to get this one for their definitive Metalhead in their collection, because Metalhead can be rather difficult to get your hands on these days. But of course, for about $50 or so, folks want to make sure they're getting their money's worth. So let's take a look to see whether or not Metalhead is worth adding into your collection. Generally speaking, I do think that Metalhead looks rather rock solid. There are a lot of smaller paint apps here, which I do feel adds to the overall idea that Metalhead is meant to be toyetic. It is rather pastelish when we take a look at the overall figure, but when we take a look at the shell, including the plastron, Metalhead has a nice gold metallic paint application to him. Now, one thing that I do want to make note of is that unfortunately gold paint is just difficult for pretty much any company to do 100% foolproof with no issues. So while the one that I'm presenting to you here has minimal to no issues, thankfully, maybe there are a couple of imperfections here and there, yours may not necessarily be as nice looking just because that is gold paint. Even custom stuff that I've done myself have issues with gold paint. $200, $300, $400 stuff that I've seen issues with gold paint. So unfortunately, that's just what's going to happen. But otherwise, for the paint applications on the figure, it does look very nice. Now, taking a look at the default head sculpt right out of the box, we do get another head sculpt, which is pretty much going to be the same, except this one is cast in translucent plastic with a lot of paint. The reason why it's cast in translucent plastic is what is affectionately called, to my understanding, light piping. So the brain that Metalhead has and the eyes are going to be red translucent plastic, and if you just stick a light source in there, let's say your phone, or you have little LED finger lights or whatever, you can get Metalhead's the head to light up. Pretty cool effect. Yeah. Overall, Metalhead does look pretty good, and there are some gimmicks here that I do think that Super7 rather nailed. And yeah, I can't really think of too much to say that's in the wrong here, except for maybe your mileage may vary on the gold paint. Just something to keep in mind. Metalhead's articulation is actually going to be pretty much the same compared to the Turtles for the TMNT Ultimates. So let's take a quick look. The head plugs in on a barbell style ball joint, so we can move the head around, spin it, all that good stuff. And we can pop it off as well, which is easy to do. And the head swaps are easy to do. Now, Metalhead does have these big bulbous shoulders, and they do spin around on swivels. He can't exactly get a T-pose because of the sculpt. That's just the fault of the design, but hey, that's a pretty good range of movement for raising and lowering. We do have dedicated bicep swivels, which are nice. We do have single hinge elbows. Cool. And then we do get a little bit of swivel movement there at the elbows as well, since they are on pegs. This one is relatively tight, and because of the elbow pads, it doesn't really want to move too much, but we do have a bicep swivel, so we don't really need that to swivel around. For the wrists, we do have swivel hinge combo, so we can spin like that and hinge like that. Metalhead does come with alternate hands, so the wrist joints, they're pretty much all going to be the same. Much like the Turtles proper, there is going to be a waist joint, which is a little bit of a ball joint movement, as you can kind of see there. He twists and turns a little bit. And then for the hips, we do have swivel hinge combo, so we can kick out forward about that far and back about that far. He does have a shell. We do also have dedicated thigh swivels like that, so they can spin. And then, of course, we do have that hinge movement, which we can kick out about that far for splits. Very cool. Now, one of the big issues that Metalhead had that a lot of folks were worried about is that he has this piping back here on his knees. So he does have hinge knees, right? And they do swivel. Swiveling, I would be a little bit cautious of, just so this way you're mindful of that, so this way you don't tear out this piping. But otherwise, for moving it, it's relatively fine for utilizing that hinge. I feel rather confident that this is only maybe going to wear down really far out over time, or if you're really pulling at this and you're twisting and turning and intentionally trying to break it. Otherwise, I think this will be just fine and it'll hold up to general posing. Again, if you're rough with it, then I think it might be an issue, but otherwise it should be fine. For the ankles, we do have hinge movement, so we can point the foot down and up just like that, and then plugs in on a peg, so we get ankle rocker movement. Overall, Metalhead moves just like the organic turtles. So if you're familiar with them, you're familiar with this guy. He moves pretty well. Let's go ahead and talk about the accessories here, and Metalhead's going to come with a good amount of them. He is going to come with interchangeable hands. He's going to come with the Radical Robo Chucks, 2 different kinds, his portable party pack or his backpack, a radar foot blaster, which is going to be the little dish. I'm assuming that's what that's called, that goes in the backpack, utility belt, obviously, a couple of grenades, an unpainted weapons rack, and then as of note, I believe that's just going to be a whip for the right hand that comes out of his fingertip. I wasn't able to find a specific name. If you do happen to know that, please drop it in the comments below, so this way I know exactly what to call it. Now, taking a look at the unpainted weapons rack real quick, something that I didn't make mention off the top is that all of the Super 7 Ultimates in the TMNT lineup specifically are meant to be sort of modern day updates to the vintage Playmates releases. So if you did want to display Metalhead with unpainted weapons, like you had back in the day, you can do that. Now, taking a look at all of the different accessories that he comes with, I mean, we do get a rock solid amount here. So we do get the Radical Robo Chucks here, and we do get 2 different kinds. We get alternate hand replacement parts, which do have points of articulation, one which is obviously going to swivel around at the wrist, and then where those actual chucks are. And then we do get another set that plugs into the backpack where that radar dish is going to be. Likewise, for alternate hand parts, we do get a right hand part, as I stated earlier, which is effectively going to be that whip part. Pretty cool. And Metalhead is going to come with grenades. Fun. Metalhead using grenades, neat. Really don't know what else to say there, but yeah, it's pretty cool. The details on the party pack are rather nice. We do have a nice decal there, a printed effect of Metalhead targeting a foot soldier, which, hey, cool there. I would like to maybe see a blast effect part because, hey, we're blasting a foot soldier. That might be something fun to do. Now, obviously, if you're going to have Metalhead, he's probably going to have this backpack on him just because that's what most folks, I would imagine, to do. However, up to this point, it's an accessory, so he's not going to have it on him. But here is how you're going to go ahead and attach that and the different parts if you are going to utilize Metalhead. So I'm just going to let this video play out. So this way, if you need help figuring out how to attach everything, like the 2 holes in his plastron, that is how you are going to do it. So overall, for accessories, I don't really know what else Metalhead could realistically use. It's just something to really think about here for what you would want to display Metalhead with. I would say maybe some sort of beam or some sort of explosion effect, because we do have that image on the back of him taking out a foot soldier, but otherwise, I do think that this is a rather rock solid release when it comes to accessories. If you do need things like stands or extra effect parts, I have videos to help you out. Now let's go ahead and move on over to a size comparison with the entirety of Wave 3 next to each other, along with some other figures you just might have on the shelf. One thing that I am seeing some folks talk about is that Metalhead is a bit undersized. Taking a look at some pictures online though, I am seeing that Metalhead, the vintage figure, is about the same size as the other turtles. So I don't quite know where that's coming from, except for the official quote-unquote stats that Metalhead is supposed to be about 6 feet and the turtles are about to be 5'1" or so. With that being said, I guess maybe he should be about as tall as Bebop and Rocksteady, but at the same time, I don't know. I'm kind of fine with this size myself. So buy now, skip, or wait for a deal. Overall, I'm rather pleased with Metalhead, and he moves rather fine. The only concerns that I may have would be that gold paint, your mileage may vary, and that's, again, something that most companies cannot nail down to a science. And then, if you're not too careful, if you are going to roughhouse this a little bit, those tubes on the back of his knees. Otherwise, this is a rather pleasant surprise, and I do think that Metalhead does come home looking pretty dang good. So if you are a fan of Metalhead, maybe you are looking to get a Metalhead in your collection because it is difficult to secure a Metalhead on the market these days, this is a rather good choice. So that's about all I have to say. This is our, I guess, 5th turtle in the overall TMNT lineup because we do have Donnie coming soon. So hey, you need another one? I think he's a good choice.
Well, collectors, that brings us to the end of the video today, and I just wanted to take a second to thank you so much for watching. Now, you've heard a lot from me. I'd like to hear a little bit from you. Drop in the comments down below whether or not you liked it, you hated it, or maybe you were somewhere in between. I also want to take an extra second here for a nice, humongous thank you to all the patrons for SDR over the last month who have really helped the channel grow into what it can be today. So to all of you, 2 big thumbs up. Thank you very much. And now the end card should be popping up, which will give you a few clickable links, like maybe to subscribe or head on over to my Patreon, or some short URLs like to my social media or to my Teespring store. There's also a video I hand selected for you, so if you want to watch another STR video, I hand selected some good content for you to watch, so definitely check out that video. Thank you again so much for watching, and I'll catch ya in the next video.